Good morning and a warm welcome to one and all for the orientation program on national education policy for schools and colleges organized by RBNMS FGC Schools and Colleges, family of RBNMS Educational Charities. National education policy is definitely a policy that envisages broad-based, multidisciplinary, holistic UG education with flexible curriculum, creative combination of subjects, integration of vocational education, and multiple entry-exit points with appropriate certification. So to throw more light on the day, we begin the day with a welcome speech by Dr. Pratap, Principal of RBNMS First Grade College. I request you, sir.
So good morning to one and all. At the outset, it is my immense pleasure to welcome for today's webinar orientation program, Dr. H.B. Chandrasekhar and Dr. Rishikesh sir. On behalf of my dedicated team of teacher, technical committee, and the charity members, I extend my warm welcome to both of you, sir. Sir, we heard about you, H.B. Chandrasekhar sir, that you're a Senior Assistant Director, Department of State Educational Research and Training. And it is our pleasure to have a direct look today for this program concern. Hope our all the audience, the dedicated team of teachers of so many institutions, hope will be benefited from your talk. So it is our pleasure to invite you on behalf of all educational charity, colleges, schools, and members, sir. And also, I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Rishikesh, Associate Professor, Ajim Premji University. Sir, it is my pleasure to welcome on behalf of myself, on behalf of Vice Principal, on behalf of dedicated team of teachers, I extend my warm welcome to you, sir. And for conducting any type of programs concerned, the support of management is very, very important, sir. Without management, it is highly impossible to run the institution. So it is our pleasure to have such a dynamic and young, energetic secretary as a backbone to our all institutions. Under the leadership of our secretary, it is able for us to conduct all such type of programs. Sir, I'm welcoming also Nandakumar Jairam, the President, sir, Jai Mukundan, Treasurer, and Administrative Officers, Dr. Veerabhadrappa, Dr. and Geeta Harikrishna Madam, and PU College Principal Bhaskar sir, and Nazir, and other all head of the institutions. On behalf of all, I extend my warm welcome to you all, sir. Over to Pavitra.
Thank you, sir, for your beautiful welcome speech. Today's program is all about abundance of knowledge, as we have two highly intelligent, very, very efficient resource persons. The very first resource person being Dr. H.B. Chandrasekhar, Senior Assistant Director of DSERT Bengaluru. It is giving me a great pleasure and privilege to welcome Dr. H.B. Chandrasekhar, who is an education officer working in Government of Karnataka. He is presently working as Senior Assistant Director in DSERT Bengaluru. He has 32 years of educational experience in teaching, research, facilitating content development, designing and implementation of various training programs, policy formulation, and much more. Various details are so vast, so we have cut it down, and here is the briefest information that I could give, which is also still endless. His excellence and achievements are, he writes regularly articles in various newspapers like Deccan Herald, Prajavani, Udayavani, Department Magazine, Shikshana Varte. He has authored various books on advanced educational psychology, a handbook on educational indicators, handbook on district information system of education, girls education under SSA, Makkala Manada Antaranga, and there are two more books which are under printing progress. Neleninda Nelavani Belagu, Yasho Tosha, two books. So he's also conducted various personality development sessions for SSLC and PU students. The topics include visioning, goal setting, visualization skills, and various others. Approximately 5,000 plus students are benefited. He's also presented a paper titled Status of Adolescents and Youth in the National Level Conference, Census Data Dissemination Workshop organized of census operations held at Bengaluru. And he's also worked as state resource person, facilitator in the number of training programs organized for teachers, head teachers of elementary schools, headmaster of high schools, members of school development and monitoring committee and Grama Panchayat. He's also worked as a facilitator in many teleconference, video conference programs conducted for teachers, officers, and other faculty department of education. Sir, a very hearty welcome to you on behalf of the family of RBNMS First Grade College. Now, we have the second, my pleasure, sir. Now we have the next primary prominent resource person who's also playing a vital role in today's webinar orientation program, Dr. Rishikesh, who is an associate professor of Azim Premji University. His biodata is also a very impressive one that will keep the audience delighted. He's an associate professor at the School of Education, Azim Premji University. He also leads the Hub for Education, Law and Policy located at the university. He has 20 years of research and teaching experience, 15 years of which has been at Azim Premji Foundation. His research interests are in the domains of educational policies, educational research, assessments, and teacher education. He currently offers courses such as comparative history of education, critical perspectives in social studies and educational research in MA education program at Azim Premji University. Over the last couple of years, education policy related issues have formed the core of his work. He works on policy matters with Government of Karnataka and is a member of various committees constituted by Education Department. He was also nominated by Government of Karnataka to the committee that studied the online education models, which eventually led to a model that ensured education to be disadvantaged children without access to online learning. He has worked closely with Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan committee, which wrote the draft National Education Policy 2019. Subsequently, he has been a member of 2 subcommittees which provided the inputs for implementation of NEP 2020 in school and higher education to Government of Karnataka. He writes regularly on educational policy related issues in national dailies and magazines to make laws and policies accessible to everyone. There are various recent articles that he has written, and now on learning during COVID-19 and National Education Policy 2020, there are various links which people could visit. Okay. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
I now request our resource person, Dr. H.B. Chandrasekhar, to address the gathering. I request you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the extensive introduction. So I am still a learner and a lot to learn. And I would like to thank RBNMS group of institutions and also all the management and faculty here. Today is the auspicious day, Guru Purnima, and I would like to go and salute all the gurus, all my gurus, and also all teachers were for this opportunity. That too, I am actually great to be with Dr. Rishikesh, who is very instrumental in shaping this national education policy. So today I am having more number of slides. Actually, practically, it is impossible to present within 45 minutes. But I would like to actually run through many of the slides, and then I would like to discuss wherever the discussions are required. So I would like to stop and discuss there. Otherwise, I will be passing through many slides. So as we all know that this national education policy is having a very big impact on our country. Our country is having a great and very magnanimous and huge educational structure in place. As we all know that we are having more than 1.5 crore institutions in the country, 24 crore students, 85 lakh teachers teaching in various institutions from pre-primary till higher education. So such is the impact of this policy. So if you could look at the education commissions worked so far, so these are the commissions. So education policies so far, 1968 policy, 86 policy, 92 revised program of action, and NEP 2020. Now we are discussing this today. So we all know what is public policy is. That is principled guide to take action on a prescribed area, maybe policy, health, education, something like that. So to pursue certain goals and objectives, maybe for social welfare or any of the areas under the constitutional obligations. So we all know the difference between policy, laws, act, and rules. Policies will be made based on the constitutional frameworks, and if required, legislative approvals will be taken. If it is in the framework, sometime it may not be required also. So we all know that act is the bill passed in the legislature, and rules are framed based on the acts. So if we could look at the quick glance regarding the making of this NEP 2020. So it took more than 5.5 years to develop this policy. T.S. Subramanian committee started it, and then K. Kasturirangan prepared the draft, and then after due consultations, this policy has been released. The government of India actually approved this on July 2020. So this is the few salient features of NEP. This makes vision of India's new education system. This replaces previous policy, 1986 policy. So this is a comprehensive framework for all the levels of education, from pre-primary till higher education, including vocational training. So as we all know that, as per constitution, education is in a concurrent list. Both state and central governments are responsible for the implementation. So after due deliberations, this will actually start rolling in. So what is the vision of this national education policy? You can see in the slide that, so education system rooted in Indian ethos. So that too, it intends to make India a global knowledge superpower. And then that also the policy envisages actually to develop among the students a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties and constitutional values. And also policy visions to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian. This is most important. Most of the people don't have the pride among our students and also future citizens. So it is a quick glance of NEP 2020. There are 27 chapters, 66 pages. So there are four parts. I am actually discussing on first part. So in school education, 8 chapters are there. So these are the chapters. So the first chapter is early childhood care and education, the foundation of education. As we all know that early childhood care is most important aspect. It is a foundation of learning. If a child actually, the cumulative brain development more than 85% occurs before 6 years of age. So policy actually comments that ECC is not available. Quality ECC is not available for crores of children. So strong investment is required. The target is quality ECC to be achieved not later than 2030. So in the time frame of 10 years, the policy intends to achieve quality ECC in the country. So this, what is the curriculum? So what would be the transaction or the pedagogy? It should be flexible, multifaceted. So in the first point, you can see that. In the second point, what is the curriculum? We can actually go through that. In more number of pre-primary schools, they actually only deal with all alphabets, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's more than that: arts, craft, drama. To develop holistically, all-round development of personality is the motto that should start in the foundation level. So in this slide, you can see focus and aim. So of ECC, the aim of ECC is optimal outcomes in different domains: physical, motor, cognitive development. So development of communication, early language, literacy, and numeracy. So the national curriculum framework for early childhood care and education will be developed by NCERT. So this framework will have two subframes. For 3 years, one subframe below 3 years, and another subframe 3 to 8 years old. So the framework will be aligned with previously mentioned guidelines. Latest research on ECCE will be incorporated. National and international best practices will be incorporated in the framework. So rich local traditions of India, stories, poetry, along with games, songs, parents, and ECC institutions. So these are the 4 types of pre-primary institutions, which is envisaged. Standalone Anganwadis. Anganwadis co-located with primary schools. Pre-primary schools co-located with existing primary schools. Standalone preschools. But the focus is to recruit workers and teachers who are specially trained in the curriculum and pedagogy of ECC. That is most important. So to provide universal access, infrastructure in ECC will be improved. So well ventilation, child-friendly and well-constructed building, enriched learning environment. This is most important. And one other important feature is children of who are studying in these ECC centers or pre-primary schools, they will be taken to nearby primary schools, so that these children, they will be joining primary schools after 1 or 2 years. So they will get acquainted with the space, people, and also the schooling environment. So they will get some aspirations to move to next level. So this is most important one. So Anganwadi shall be fully integrated into school complexes. Now it is not there. So policy actually recommends that Anganwadi children school complex programs. So another important feature is one preparatory class, that is Bala Batika, which is proposed to open prior to the age of 5 years. Every child will move to that class. So there ECC qualified teacher will be there. Pedagogy will be play-based, focus on developing the abilities in different domains, and also early literacy and numeracy. The midday meal program will be extended to preparatory classes in primary schools. Health checkups, regular health checkups will be there. So this is most important. All of us know that in Anganwadis, not much teaching is happening there. So policy clearly recommends to train all the Anganwadi teachers. They will be trained. Those teachers who are having 10+2 qualification, they will be trained for 6 months. Those who are having below that qualification, they will be trained for up to 1 year. So most of the times, the mode of training will be distance mode, smartphone, DTH channel. These modes will be used for training them, so that their work will not be disturbed. So ECC teachers, Anganwadi workers or teachers, they will be mentored by our cluster resource centers. Cluster resource centers or cluster resource persons, they will mentor these teachers regularly. Monthly once, contact class will be there with these Anganwadi teachers for continuous assessment. In the long run, separate cadre of professionally qualified teachers for ECC will be developed, prepared. Now the cadre is not there. So this will help to make ECC function better in pedagogy and child care and nutrition. Even preparation of educators is also most important, and then continuous professional development. So, as we all know, that tribal dominated areas, ECC centers are not there. So, there they will open. Curriculum and pedagogy aspect in ECC will be with Ministry of Education. Now it is dealt with the Department of Women and Child. So the planning and implementation of the whole program will be with 4 different departments: Ministry of Education, Department of Women and Child, Health and Family Welfare, and Tribal Affairs. For this, a joint special task force will be constituted for continuous guidance and integration into school education. So I am moving to next chapter, foundational literacy and numeracy. So the foundational skills, reading, writing, and arithmetic. If a child lags behind in these skills, in future the child will not cope up and the child will drop out from the system. So this is most important. So as policy actually commented that there is a learning crisis in the country. More than 5 crore students in the elementary education, they haven't attained foundational literacy and numeracy. Such a huge number. We are losing these many human resources from our system, so that they will not be contributing to the system. So this will be the urgent national mission. So recently, Ministry of Education launched this program, Nipun, National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy. So the guidelines have been actually released. You can find in the website of Ministry of Education. So this will cover learning needs of children in the age group of 3 to 9 years. So target to reach all the children to get acquired these foundational literacy and numeracy skills by 2025. But now it is extended to 2027. We have lost more than 1 year due to this pandemic. So this has been extended. A 5-tier implementation mechanism will be set up. So states and state governments will have to prepare implementation plans for this mission. Targets will be identified, goals will be set, and tracking and monitoring of the progress will be done. So what are the strategies? Teacher vacancies will be filled. A parent-teacher ratio of 30:1 will be ensured. Parent-teacher ratio of 25:1 will be maintained in the various where socioeconomically disadvantaged students are there, to give more focus. So all teachers will be trained, encouraged, and supported with continuous professional development. So literacy and numeracy through the preparatory and middle school curriculum with robust system of continuous formative assessment. So for foundational literacy and numeracy will be a focus in all these, even in the middle stage also. More number of students who are in middle school also, they haven't acquired these skills. So there also this focus will be there, so that each student will be ensured that the student is acquired these skills, foundational skills. Specific hours, daily and regular events will be dedicated for this, for acquisition of these skills. Teacher education and early grade curriculum will be redesigned. So one school preparation module for grade 1 students will be developed to prepare them for grade 1. Since most of the students, they enter grade 1 without having these basic skills. So for this module will be for those students. So consists of activities and workbooks. Students collaborate with peers and parents. This will be developed by NCERT and SCERTs. So as we all know that there is one national level platform is there, Diksha, Digital Infrastructure for Knowledge Sharing. I have given the link, you can go through that. This is the platform, this portal containing many resources, already many resources. Tutoring is effective. A child is teaching to another child. This is most effective. This will be promoted in this ECC activity and in this foundational literacy and numeracy. This will be a joyful activity under the supervision of teachers. So community members will also be mobilized to and engaged to teach students. One student will be taught by one person on how to read, write, and do arithmetical calculations. So states to launch innovative models to foster peer tutoring, voluntary activities, and all that. Enjoyable and inspirational books will be developed and made available. Libraries will be expanded, digital libraries, school libraries will be set up. Book clubs may meet in school libraries after school hours. National book promotion policy will be formulated. Nutrition and health of children is most important. If the children are not having nutrition, then their brain development will not be optimum, and this will affect their learning levels also. So in this aspect, this nutrition is actually taken care, and healthy midday meals will be provided, and introduction of well-trained social workers and counselors. This is more the new thing in which we don't have right now. Counselors will be, the help of counselors will be taken. So nutritional energized breakfast. So we all know that chicky is available in shops. So this is a nutritious one, groundnut with jaggery. This will be provided, or local fruits, or any other eatable. This should that serve as a nutritional energized breakfast for children. In addition to midday meals will be provided. Regular health checkups, health cards will be issued. So then now I am moving on to the third important chapter, curtailing dropout rates and ensuring universal access. As we all know that more number of students are dropping out because of so many socio-economical reasons. Gross enrollment ratio for grade 6 to 8 was 95.9%. As we go to the next grades, like grades 9, 10, 11, 12, the enrollment levels are decreases. You can see in the slide. So school dropouts at more number of children dropouts at 5, 7 class 7 standard or 10 standard, where there is a transition is there. When a child passes from 5th, the child will not, student will not enter or join to next level. So dropping dropouts and also never enrolled. This is a serious concern. So as per one survey, more than 3.22 crore number of out of school children are there in the country. This is very huge and require early intervention, and lot of focus is required for this. So two initiatives have been proposed to provide effective and sufficient infrastructure. Regular trained teachers will be provided, upgrading and enlarging schools, and building additional quality schools, providing conveyances, hostel facilities for girls. These measures will ensure to retain children. Alternative and innovative education centers in cooperation with civil society will be established to ensure vulnerable children will be attending school. So the next initiative is to achieve universal participation in school by carefully tracking students. Child tracking is most important. That to individual child tracking. Each student has to be tracked, and also students' learning levels also. Counselors will be, the service of counselors will be taken from civil society. Teachers to engage with community. Ensuring quality will be the key in retention of students. So if the teaching is not attractive, if the school is not attractive, children will tend to drop out. The reasons for dropouts the reasons are not only because of socio-economic conditions, because of pedagogic and education related issues are also responsible for school dropouts. So teachers with knowledge of local language will be deployed, overhauling the curriculum to make it more engaging and useful. Engaging is most important, engaging with the child. So multiple pathways to learning is most important, formal or informal. So we all know that National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, I have given link. So open and distance learning program is there. Most of the people don't know this. Even for these lower classes also, class 3, class 5, class 8, and also class 10 and 12. This open and distance learning mode is there. So this has to be promoted. Along with in this, the special feature of NIOS is there are so many vocational courses are actually integrated in these programs. So the child will be benefited to get more number of vocational skills also. So in our state, State Institute of Open Schooling is lying with JSS institutes. Mysore. This is not having in our state. We are not having open distance learning for primary schools. It's only for 10th standard. It is there. So this slide talks about requirements of building will be less restrictive, more importance on outputs rather than inputs. Public philanthropy partnership model of schools will be piloted. Community and alumni involvement is most important. The school only cannot do, government only cannot do. Community alumni will be involved. One-on-one tutoring, teaching of literacy and holding of extra help sessions, teaching support and guidance, career guidance and mentoring to students. So for this database of the following, like literate volunteers, retired scientists, government, semi-government employees, school alumni, educators. So these database will help the schools to take the services of all these people to curtail dropout rates. So this fourth chapter is a very important chapter I am actually entering now, curriculum and pedagogy in schools. This chapter can be considered as a soul of this national education policy. In this chapter, there are three aspects is there. One is curriculum and syllabus, second one is pedagogy, third one is assessment. All these three areas are dealt in this chapter. So we all know that learning should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. Restructuring school curriculum and pedagogy in new design is important to make it responsive, relevant to the needs and interests of learners. So in this slide, you can see the revised, the left one is the existing one, as we all know that. The right side one, which is having multiple color. These are the proposed structure, education structure as per NEP. Foundational level for is 3 years of Anganwadi or preschool education plus class 1 and 2. It constitutes foundation level, that is 5 years. The child up to 8 years. Next level is preparatory, that is classes 3 to 5. Next level is middle school till class 8. Next is secondary, 9th class 9 to 12. Secondary and senior secondary. This PUC we call here. So this is foundation level. Flexible multi-level play and activity based learning will be there. In the foundation level, light textbooks will be introduced. Interactive classrooms. It is like this foundation level, no textbooks will be there, only play, activity, through activities and play based learning will take place. When the child enters to preparatory stage, light textbooks are introduced. Interactive classroom teaching, writing, speaking, physical education, all these solid groundwork for all these across all these subjects. So this middle stage, actually, introduction of subject teachers for learning will be more abstract concepts. So in foundation level, no textbooks. In this preparatory level, light textbooks. Middle stage, abstract concepts and textbooks. The load is of textbooks and load of information. Learning will be slightly going to increase as the child moves vertical movement. But in present system, more number of students actually, even in primary schools also, a lot of textbooks have been introduced, but policy proposes based on the scientific advancements or psychological base. Middle stage, experiential learning within each subjects, introduction of more specialized subjects. 4 years of, this is secondary stage. So here in the secondary stage, multidisciplinary study is actually proposed, subject oriented pedagogical and curricular style of the middle stage.
greater depth, greater criteria, critical thinking, greater attention and life aspirations, and greater flexibility and students' choice of subjects. So one special feature is students can exit after 10 and they can re-enter to pursue vocational or other courses. So this slide is most important. These stages are purely curricular and pedagogical in nature. These stages are proposed based on physiological and psychological background, based on psychological and physiological and scientific base. These stages have been proposed by NEP. But the third point is most important. Parallel changes to physical infrastructure will not be required. More people are thinking that the new system will be coming to place. These classes will be pulled and then they will be actually tagged in the other stages and all that. This may be required or not. This may happen or may not happen. But these stages actually inform the second point, inform the development of national and state curricula and teaching learning strategies at each stage. So based on these stages, curriculum and textbooks and pedagogy will be proposed, or new curriculum and textbooks will be designed and new type of teaching learning strategies are proposed at each stage. Increases flexibility to choose subjects of their choice. They can design their own paths of study. Shift from rote learning to real understanding. So building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with key 21st century skills. The whole specific set of skills and values across domains. Curriculum frameworks and transaction mechanisms will be developed for ensuring that these skills and values are imbibed through engaging processes of teaching and learning. And this is most important. So you can reflect how our teaching is there right now, whether it is whether we are engaging the students more in the teaching learning process, or it is monotonous or one-sided. All aspects of curriculum pedagogy will be reoriented and revamped. So curriculum content will be reduced so that there will be more space and time for critical thinking, inquiry-based, discovery-based, discussion-based, analysis-based learning. So you can see this is most important slide. Questions will be encouraged in the classroom. Now, whether we are actually encouraging questions, classroom sessions will be regularly contain more fun, creative, collaborative, and exploratory activities for students for deeper and more experiential learning. So we can actually reflect upon how our classrooms are there now, how the classrooms can be changed when NEP is introduced, or the spirit of NEP is taken into the classrooms. Experiential learning is most important. The learning cannot be only from textbooks or only information. So for this hands-on learning, arts integrated and sports integrated education is important. Storytelling based pedagogy, most important. We have to use stories in the pedagogy. Classroom transactions will shift towards competency based learning and education. Assessment tools will be aligned with the learning outcomes. So art integration, now art is introduced as a separate subject. Music, drawing are separate subjects, but henceforth in the NEP, this is as a cross-curricular pedagogical approach. The art will be used for making the classroom transactions joyful, and integration of Indian art and culture in teaching learning process at every level. Why can't we introduce art in science also? Why can't we introduce in art in maths also, so that classes the subjects will become more fun and attractive and also more interesting. The same way sports integration will also take place. Collaboration, teamwork, citizenships. So classroom transactions to help students to adopt fitness as envisaged in Fit India movement. As we all know, sports supplement cognitive abilities of students. So this is most important slide, flexibility in course choice of students. Now we are having only 6 subjects in 10th standard, but when NEP comes into implementation in its full spirit, there will be more number of courses, and then a student can choose into his or her interest. So there is no hard separation among curricular, extracurricular, and co-curricular. We are having differentiations now. Arts stream, in science stream, student cannot one subject from physics, science, humanities, and maths. So wherever possible, it can be introduced so that shorter modules will be there in the system. So medium of instruction will be mother tongue till 5th and also preferably till 8th. So high quality textbooks will be made available in science also, in mother tongue. Bilingual approach in teaching, this is most important. Maybe my mother tongue is Kannada. If as a teacher, if you are only using English, then I may not understand all the concepts. As for the benefit of students, bilingual approach or multilingual approach, if required, is most appropriate. And development of bilingual teaching learning materials is also on cards. Exposure of children to different languages in foundation stage. Language learning will be joyful, interactive. Recruitment of teachers in all regional languages. States to enter bilateral agreements to hire teachers. This is most important. Most of the people from Bihar, they come here to Karnataka for work. Those Bihari children, they will not learn any other language. So if we have agreement with the Bihar state and have some Bihar teachers who know Bihari, then we can introduce them here along with our Kannada or English. So education is most important rather than language. Use of technology in language learning. So 3 language formula will be high quality bilingual level. Every student will participate in project activity on languages of India under Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. So as India is such a country that we are having rich tradition, and also there are so many languages in our country. So that if as a student, as a citizen, if I am learning more number of languages, exposed to more number of languages other than our mother tongue or English, then I will be benefited and my views will be very diversified. So this is most important. Sanskrit will be offered as optional subjects. Classical languages will be available as options on as online modules. Foreign languages, different foreign languages will also be available for studying. Teaching of all languages will be based on experiential learning pedagogy. So certain skills and capacities should be learned by all the students. You can see in the 3rd point, whole lot of skills it is proposed. These skills are these are the skills continued here. You can concerted curricular and pedagogical initiatives, including the introduction of contemporary subjects. Now we are in 21st century, and we are actually students have to be exposed to artificial intelligence design. So there will be efforts to introduce these some contemporary subjects. Maths and computational thinking will be given greater activity involving coding will be introduced in middle stage. You may be knowing a lot of ads regarding this in the private schools. They are advertising that in our school coding is there. They have taken only one small aspect of NEP and they are advertising. They are making that branding that they are having coding. Only coding is not NEP. So there are a lot of other things are there. Coding is one part. So this is there. This will be introduced in middle stage. So every student is the third aspect is most important. Carpentry, electric work, gardening. These vocational crafts will be introduced in grade 6 to 8. This will be like a fun course, not like complete vocational course. It is an exposure. Even even we are actually completed degree in electrical engineering, I may not be knowing how to fix a switch. So that these skills are most important. Life skill. This will become life skills. Who knows that will actually serve their life also. So this is most important. So then backless days, students meet vocational experts, internship opportunities through grade 6 to 12, including holiday periods, vocational courses through online module also be there. Knowledge of India is most important. India is such a rich country that the vast treasure of knowledge we are having. So NEP actually wants to tap that knowledge and makes use of that knowledge, and our students have to learn that knowledge, tribal knowledge, indigenous knowledge. We introduce that secondary school as elective, traditional Indian values. So Panchatantra, Hitopadesha, Jataka stories, basic training in health. So curricular integration of essential subject skills and capacities. I have already discussed this. So for this, national curriculum framework will be formulated by NCERT. So will be made available in all regional languages. This framework will be revisited and updated once in 5 to 10 years. Textbook content will be reduced. I have discussed this already. High quality textbooks at lowest price will be on cost basis will also be there. So there will be a proposal to have more number of textbooks. So availability of NCERT textbooks in all regional languages. Textbooks will be available for download also. So efforts, this last is important. Right? So now the third aspect, I discussed curriculum and the syllabus and pedagogy. Now it is assessment. Even assessment will be shifted from. We are testing only rote memory, rote memorization, what the child has learned. Out of books, competency based, visual clarity, which is 360-degree holistic, most important. Each child is unique. So we should be able to capture that uniqueness in our this progress card. No child is dumb. No child is brilliant. Even when we are calling the one child as dumb, that child is having a lot of other skills. So as a teacher, as an education system, we need to know what that includes self-assessment, peer assessment. Progress of children will be tracked by project-based and inquiry-based learning, quizzes, role plays, group work, and all that. The artificial intelligence-based software will be used to help to track the students. Board exams and entrance exam. This is we all know that board exams are causing much harm. But even though board exams for 10th and 12th will be continued, they will be reformed and redesigned. So they will be made easier to test core capacities. They will be in two occasions, one main and another improvement. So if I am not satisfied with the first attempt, I will get improvement. Greater flexibility, student choice to reduce pressure and coaching culture. So semester or modular board exams will be developed so that each test will be test for less material. So this is important, most important thing. Board exams will be two levels. One is standard level and higher level. This will be begin with maths. For example, as a student, I am not I don't want to take my mathematics as a career. Like I don't want to study mathematics or engineering. So if I want to take engineering as a course for 22-23, school examinations will be there for grades 3, 5, and 8. This is regarding the school examinations. And one institute, PARAC, Performance Assessment Review and Analysis for Knowledge for Holistic Development. National Assessment Center will be set up. National Testing Agency will be set up. There are one autonomous organization. This will guide state boards. This will offer common aptitude test and specialized common aptitude subject exams in all streams. Teacher education will include. This is regarding gifted students. We have a lot of gifted students will be there. For these, for them, these are the interventions. Guidelines will be prepared for them. B.Ed program specializations will be there for them. So topics and project-based circles, Olympiads and competitions will be there. Online apps with the smart class. Teacher education, the policy actually is not where it should be. So the quality and motivation of teachers does not reach the desired standards. So the policy proposes to important one. 4-year integrated B.Ed course for rural students is a proposal. Scholarships will be provided for them. Create local job opportunities for especially for girls. Incentive to teach in rural areas will be given. Teacher eligibility test transfers will be stopped. Excessive transfers. TET, teacher eligibility test, will be strengthened and extended to all stages of schools. Now it is there only for primary and higher primary only. This will be extended. So for recruitment, classroom demonstration and interview will be there. Even teachers in private schools also must have TED and demonstration or interview. Teachers will be recruited to a school or school complex. Hiring of local experts will be there. Teacher requirement planning forecasting exercise for the next 10 years. What is the requirement that will be made with projected vacancies? So this slide talks about service environment. As a teacher, I should have a decent and pleasant service environment. Service conditions should be very good. So policy proposes to improve that. So non-teaching activities will be removed. Teachers will be given more autonomy to choose the aspects of pedagogy. So the most important, autonomy. Teachers will be recognized for novel approaches for teaching. Continuous professional development on. So each teacher and head to engage 50 hours of continuous professional development opportunities every year regarding latest pedagogies and all that. In the first slide, you can see even heads of schools like principals will also have this 50 hours of this thing. Heads of schools to share best practices with each others. Outstanding teachers must be recognized, promoted, given salary hike. So second point is most important. Robust merit-based structure of tenure, promotion, salary structure for teachers will be developed. So, multiple parameters for assessment, peer review, attend, and others. And after due assessment only, promotions, confirmation to the post, career growth will be given. So there will be career growth opportunities will be there. National professional standards for teachers will be developed by NCTE 2022. So promotion and salaries now automatic it is there, but it will be based on their performance. So availability of qualified special educators is also important. So teacher education will be moved to multidisciplinary colleges and universities by 2030. So minimum qualification for teaching will be 4-year B.Ed course by 2030. So 2-year B.Ed program will also be there for bachelor's, those who are having bachelor's degree. 1-year B.Ed course will also be there. So all B.Ed courses will be offered only by accredited multidisciplinary higher education institutions. So strong practicum will be there. That means in classroom teaching in B.Ed, special shorter courses, post B.Ed certification courses. National curriculum framework for teacher education will be formulated. So that will be revisited once in 5 to 10 years. So the last point is most important. Be shut down. That is most important. So this is a equitable, inclusive education learning for all. So I will just glance through this. There are so many gaps in our learning. There's so many students, so many children are left out because of these social category gaps. Socio-economically disadvantaged groups, SCDGs, female, SC, ST, OBCs, students from rural areas, disabilities, socio-economic conditions. Urban of these children decline in enrollments is there. That is even female students are actually vulnerable. So these are the strategies: scholarships, cash transfers, insensitivize the parents, providing bicycles, one-on-one teachers and tutors, peer tutoring. So you can go through this. So support of counselors will be taken. Aspirational districts are identified. These are the districts where require a lot of attention for these SCDGs. Special education zone, SEZ, where the population of SCDGs are more. Free boarding facilities, women hostels like Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas. Gender inclusive fund for this fund will be utilized for the education of these free boarding facilities. Additional Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas and Kendriya Vidyalayas. So children with disabilities will also be targeted and provided devices, barrier-free access and all that. Special hostels, rich courses, financial assistance, scholarships. So state governments will open NCC wing. So this third aspect is most important. Change in school culture is critical to attain inclusion. Biases and stereotypes have to be removed. So chapter 7, efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes. As we all know, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan program actually made is a very great program, but because of increased access, small schools have been increased. This is these small one big school in the radius of 5 to 10 kilometers will be identified, one secondary school, and all other schools in the vicinity will be tagged to the school. That is called school complex. So greater resource and efficiency and more effective functioning. Officers like DDPI will interact with so autonomy will be provided. So autonomy in education and pedagogy. Each school will develop a school development plan. So based on this school development plan, school complex development plan will be formulated. BO endorse and confirm the plan. So this is twinning or pairing of one public school with these private teachers will go to private school. They meet and interact each other, share the resources, mutually learn, document the best practices. Ball bomb and strengthening of ball bombs will be there. So this last chapter. I have come to last chapter. So I'm not going to discuss much on this. One feature is, so now there there is a, from department side, there is a lot of inspection mode. There's administration is going in that way. So in this policy, effective self-regulation, regulation and or accreditation system will be instituted. Performance of schools will be assessed based on the and accredited by SSSA. What is the SSSA? That is State School Standards Authority. This is an independent statewide body. This body will establish minimum set of standard. School, what safety, what is the or not. Any complaints, schools cannot actually put the wrong things. But complaints will be addressed by SSSA. Feedback from students will be solicited. Academic standards to be led by SCRT. SQAAF, School Quality Assessment and Accreditation Framework will be designed through consultations. Change management process will be introduced. Role expectations. So last point is most important. Promotion, recognition, and accountability of all individuals will be based on performance assessment, not automatic. So for public and private schools, same criteria. So national achievement survey on sampling basis will be undertaken. States will undertake state achievement surveys. So thank you all for listening and participating.